This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Jumrukovski, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome to the I Love Success podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here with me today as we're having a special episode. In this episode, we talk about the subject that I believe is the one thing that can make you super successful. It's mindset, and mindset matters. So kick back, relax, and enjoy. Let's go. And I'm turning the tables on you, Adam, here to help me today.
Sweet. Well, I love being here with you, Peter. Any chance to spend some time with you and have a deeper conversation about life and meaning and all those kind of deep, mushy stuff, I think is really, really awesome. Really a special treat for me. So
thank you. Yeah, I truly appreciate you doing this. And we've known each other for a couple of years now. You truly grown a close friend of mine, and I truly admire that you're putting yourself out there and doing great work. So once again, hats off to you.
I appreciate that. So yeah, today's topic, mindset.
Yeah.
Kick off and tell me, first to begin, why is mindset an important topic for you? Why did you want to start here and have this conversation about mindset today?
So I've received a lot of questions from people about mindset, and a lot of people are struggling with that. And I meet a lot of people that always tell me, why are you always so happy, or why are you having so much energy, like it's something that I was born with. There's a process and a system to have a good mindset, which I've learned kind of the hard way. And I mean, we're sitting here, it's 7 p.m. on a Friday night. We're both tired, having headache. Camila is tired, who's the producer of this show. Thank you so much. And we're all tired. We have a little headache, and people are home with their families now, and we're here doing this because we want to share. And I think that shows that right now in this moment, mindset do matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's hop into what does having a positive mindset mean to you?
To have a positive mindset is not to have. Let's start what it's not. It's not to have everything figured out. It's not to be in the perfect situation in your life or have all the answers. A positive mindset in my world is to want to go after something and to do that wholeheartedly. And know that you're gonna lose sometimes, and know that it's gonna hurt a lot of times, but still wanting to do that. And I've taught a lot about mindset because I look at myself, and in the stage I'm in my life right now, I see myself as a man with a positive mindset. And it's not because I think everything is fun, it's because I see the bigger picture. Why am I doing these things? And that helps me a lot.
It's interesting, as you were speaking there, you talked about where you are now in your life. Have you seen your mindset change over time since you were a kid? And what did it mean? You know, I guess two-part question. One is, when did you start cultivating this positive mindset kind of awareness? Yeah. And is it something you need to be aware of? Or is it something that is taught? Or how did you approach that as a kid, and then where you are today? And has there been any change?
I mean, for me, I think it's easy to have a positive mindset when you do something that you love. I think that's much easier. For me, it would be hard to have a positive mindset if I didn't love what I do. But I also think it's very admirable when we see the people that are in a job that they don't like, but they're doing it as world champions, you know? And if I look at my own life, how did my positive mindset get better? Mostly when I lost or when I didn't get what I want, I realized that it's not that bad. And then I went back to it again. Started over, slowly changed my mindset to having fun again. And then it got better from there.
That's really interesting. You talk about how important a positive mindset is to show up when you are doing something. Maybe you're at a stage or doing something in life that you're not loving.
Yeah.
But then reminding yourself or catching yourself to try and stay in that positive mindset. Because for me, I can recall plenty of times where I've met someone or come up, interacted with somebody who you could tell is not working in a job that is fulfilling them or whatever, in terms of, oh, maybe it's not where they want to be in the end.
Yeah.
And you've seen the person who hates what they're doing and lets you know they hate it, versus the person who is doing this job and doing it with so much soul or happiness, and then that becomes contagious. And you feel their happiness through it or whatever. And then you want better things for them or better opportunities or whatever. Like, oh, here's my number or whatever.
Yeah.
Call. So you can see how that positive mindset blossoms itself into other opportunities.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I totally agree with you. And there's a saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. And in a way, I truly believe that. Because if we look at people, like you can't wait to get the best opportunity and then you're gonna show up for life. That's not how it works. You get the best opportunities by showing up for life before you have them, right? We see those people that are doing the work when nobody is looking at them. You know, we see the assistant at a big firm that wants to one day be the boss. The best assistant that are truly putting in the work, someone's gonna see that. But if you never do the work, even when you don't want to do it, I think it's hard.
So that leads itself to a really interesting question, which is, how do you cultivate a positive mindset when you are stuck at that job that you don't want to be there at that present time, day in, day out, or whatever? You know, what are the tools that you would rely on to bring a better positive mindset for yourself?
I mean, for me, it's very interesting because when I look at it, it's about where do you want to go? And I try, when I'm in a situation that I don't like, let's say many times in my career as an athlete, I wanted to be a champion and I saw everybody lining up for the finals and I wasn't one of them. It's very hard to have a positive mindset in that moment when you train so hard and then you go back and it feels like you're starting over. For me, I had to go back to visualize. I want to be that winner. I want to excel in this area and truly see myself doing that. And I think it could be in any field. Like when you see that, let's say surfing, that you're a big fan of, like you get smashed by a wave after wave after wave. What makes you go in there again? Is it that you visualize the feeling of having that, of catching that wave? Or like, what's your process in that situation?
Yeah, surfing for me, as you've seen, has been a really fascinating journey. Because I started, just a few years ago with you, group of guys, let's all go out and surf together. And you get your first little tiny taste of a wave. And for me, I got hooked that moment. Yeah. But then it became a really long journey of getting beat up, over and over again, of constant embarrassment because you look like a fool in front of all these other people who are sitting there in the water who have been doing it for years and years and years. And they get to watch you tumble and fall and you do everything wrong. It's like one of those things that you can't read a cheat book and skip ahead. You got to go through the lessons and pay the price. But when you do something in life where you are paying the price, getting beat up over and over and over again, but you see that small little incremental improvement, it feels amazing. It's probably, as through your competition in athletics and karate and stuff, the things that are the hardest earn feel the best when you finally get to that place, you know.
Yeah.
So if you pay the ultimate price and get beat up by something, you stick with it. It has the sweeter reward. So getting on a wave and actually being able to ride it and just stay up on that wave on a clean face is a feeling like I've never felt before, you know.
Yeah. And it's all worth it then, right?
It's all worth it for me.
Yeah.
It brings me so many different things that.
Yeah. And I mean, now when we hear this, we all have that moment in our life, and I think it's two things why we keep going when it's hard to not have a positive mindset. First of all, is love. Okay, why am I really doing this? I'm passionate about karate, right? I want to be a winner. I want to excel in my life. And the second thing is, I'm actually trying. I believe that it's gonna get better. My belief is that it's going to get better. And once we have those things in our life, then it's worth to do it.
Right. One thing I personally would find interesting talking to you, especially as you do life coaching and work with people. I think for some people, it seems like, whether you know or not what's going on, they've always just have that positive mindset, meaning like they get presented with an experience in life, and instead of choosing to read that experience as a negative, they always find, you know, something more positive to frame that experience as a way to talk about it, use language about it, right? There's different ways you can say something happened to you, and you can use positive language or negative language, right? Yeah. And so for you, as you were talking about tools that you use for your life in order to be cultivating a positive mindset, you talked about envisioning your life and where you want to be and where you want to go. What about in terms of like the day-to-day? Do you ever catch yourself like talking about an experience or something that's happened to you, and you're paying attention to the words you're using? Am I coming off negative and trying to correct those and put a more positive way to frame those? Yeah. And in terms of like the language we use and how we choose to describe the world around us, does that become the framework in which we see the world? And then, does that make sense?
It totally does. And a lot of times we don't even know it, because sometimes we meet a negative person and then we're saying, why are you so negative? And they don't know what we're talking about, because that's how they view the world. And a lot of times it's because of the environment they grew up in. And a lot of people grow up in an environment with scarcity. Like, be careful, stop doing that. Who are you to be able to achieve this? When you keep hearing these things over and over again, you'll start believing in them. On the other hand, if we look at people that have succeeded, they have been around positive people. Maybe not their mom, their dad, but they've read a book somewhere. They've seen a video. They've watched a movie. And they've created this over and over again in their mind, saying, I can do it. If that person can do it, it is possible. And you rewire your brain. And I mean, I think a lot of times it's not fair to say what I do, because I've been so lucky that I've been an athlete for 12, 13 years, going over and over, being around champions, you know, and then I've read multiple books. I've done the podcast where I've met hundreds of people. So I've been wired more and more to see positive things and not get annoyed by the small things. So it's a training, just like you're working out and going to the gym. This is the same thing. Instead of watching the news, watch a TED Talk. I mean, instead of listening to that old friend that is not happy with their life, maybe go to a meetup and meet a new friend that is looking to go somewhere in life. If you're in the wrong club for your sport and they say, no, you can never win anything, maybe it's time, if you can, to change your trainer to someone that actually believes in you. And I have been lucky to constantly be around those people, and not always in my city or where I am, but I found that through books, through YouTube clips. And I mean, in this day and age, we have everything. We just have to keep feeding our souls and rewiring our brains. What do you think about that?
Yeah, as you're speaking and talking about that, all the resources are all around us. I feel like we're in abundance of resources, information, and stuff like that. And if all of these stuff is food, it's just what do you choose to eat? Yeah. And are you choosing to feed from, the negative information and stuff that's out there, which there's plenty of, especially if you look at the political climate and how people get caught up and allow themselves to be taken over. Because I feel like negativity is a powerful energy. And if you allow yourself to get caught in that, very quickly, it can become destructive to your own life, how you feel inside, and then the energy you put out to other people. And so I feel like I guess it starts with cultivating, wanting to be aware of those changes, right? So like, where am I eating? Am I eating from this positive energy or this negative? And that awareness to make sure that you're always going to that, the source that you want to embody is probably the beginning of it. Like for yourself, your dad was your first trainer, right? Your first.
Yeah, but for me, it started as pain. Let's be honest. The only reason I went on to this path, because it was my pain. I didn't have what I want. I couldn't attract the people that I wanted in my life. I couldn't have the discussions that I wanted. People did not see me as the person I wanted to become. So for me, it was pain. And it all started to change when I realized that I had to change. So for a lot of people out there, maybe you don't even know that you're negative or that you're not feeding yourself with the right things. But take a step back and look at your life and see, like, do I surround myself with the people that are lifting me up? Am I happy in my life, with my relationships, with my career, with my health, with my mind? Like, how do I carry myself? And once we start asking those questions, a lot of times we get answers that we don't like. And then it's up to you if you want to do the work and be able to have this feeling of abundance. Like, I truly believe in abundance now. I truly believe that you can accomplish almost anything as long as you put your mind to it and are willing to do the work.
Yeah, that's interesting because one tool that I'm thinking about that has always served me has been gratitude. And being able to think of just, when I feel a negative thought or feeling or whatever, one place that elevates me or gets me out of that mindset is reminding myself and thinking, hey, what are a few things, even the smallest little things that I'm grateful for, and how fast that can make a change in the direction of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's huge. I do gratitude practice every day, and it's not something new. A lot of people do it, and one thing that I also do. Let's say this morning I wrote down 10 things that I am grateful for, and I wrote down a couple of things that I'm grateful for. Let's say my health, my family, that I'm in love. But I also wrote down things that haven't happened yet. Like I enjoyed celebrating Christmas with my family, for example. Or I'm so grateful that I went to Antarctica and experienced the penguins.
So you're writing this as though it's happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Why did you choose to do it in that format?
I learned that from listening to many podcasts, reading books, that like you rewire your brain to already believe it. If we look at Wayne Gretzky, he's saying when he looked back at his career, before he made the goal, he could see himself in slow motion doing that over and over again. And we hear it from all the best. So why don't do it?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard an interview, I think, with Michael Phelps, the Olympian swimmer. Yeah. And he talked about the same thing. His coach would have him like close his eyes before he'd go to bed and visualize everything from getting ready before he's even in the pool to what every single detail of every stroke looked like, so he could slow it down in slow motion. And basically, like you're saying, rewiring your brain so your brain's seen it before, right?
Yeah.
So
I totally agree. And I'm so fucking fascinated by people that think, oh, this is great, but I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Or it doesn't work for me. It does work for you. It works for everybody, but it takes different amount of time. Just like going to the gym. Some people are strong at once. We all start from different positions, right? But we can still improve, and it works.
Yeah. Why do you think people get caught in that negative mindset of it doesn't work for me, and they're so quick to?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they look at people that are in their mind successful, because as we all know, we're trying to redefine success with this show, so it's different for everybody. But they look at people that are successful and say, yeah, but that guy had a rich mom, or that guy is tall, or that girl is beautiful, is easy, or she grew up in San Diego, that's why. And we always find all these reasons not to do the work. Don't question things that we know work. Put in the work. Don't focus on the outcome. Focus on the process, and see what happens.
Right. You never know where the journey will lead you.
I mean, if you probably gonna know, like if you model someone in a way, you gonna come close to what that person have achieved, right? But don't focus on that, because if we always do things just for the end goal, that's why we quit. Yeah, everybody wants to travel the world, but nobody wants to do the work, because it is a lot of work. You have to save up money, you have to maybe quit your job, you have to get your relationship in line in order to do those things. So we say, yeah, it would be cool, but it's not for me. And it's all mindset. Yeah. Interesting. As soon as I start to get close to something, I fail massively. And I like, why am I doing this? And if you're listening to this, you probably have the same thing, like, I should just quit. But as I've said many times before, it's just the universe asking you, how bad do you fucking want it? Do you want it or do you don't want it? It comes as failure, but it's actually a question. Are you going to keep going, or are you going to do like 99% of other people? Do something else until you get to that same level and then quit again. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm split between two different thoughts with that one. Feel free to share if you like your input on this, because I know you're doing this. You're thinking about these things a lot as well. Yeah, I just wonder, like, so on one side, you have this conversation with yourself where you reach a point and you're saying, maybe I should quit. When is it time to quit? Maybe you've been down a path for a certain amount of time and it's just not working out. How do you know when you're quitting or you're admitting that you've given it your all and saying, you know what, gracefully, I need to exit this before I invest too much time, energy, money, resources, or whatever, and it's never going to happen, right? You know, there's some situation. So how do you define that as, is that going into a negative mindset, or is that being a realist with yourself? I mean, I think it's okay to quit if that's what you want. And I mean, if we look at life, ask yourself, when you want to quit, ask yourself, am I quitting because it's the easiest way? Or am I quitting because I believe this could lead me to a better path? I think that's the question. Be totally honest. Are you quitting just because it's the easiest way? Then maybe you should go again. But are you seeing a better path? I don't believe that you should be. I used to be so locked into when I said something that I had to do it, which was actually a negative because I saw better opportunities, but I've already told myself if I don't do this, I'm gonna suck. Then I'm not a man of my word, and then I'm not a good person. And you start telling you all these negative things, which is not good for your mindset.
So something that was supposed to be a kind of a positive in your life, where it's like a principle that you're a belief system, could also kind of have another side to it, where if you follow it too rigidly, it becomes a negative.
I learned that actually on my podcast. I had an interview with Ryan Serhant, one of the top real estate agents in New York, and he said, I want people to change. That's good. And I was thinking to myself, I never change. If I say something, that's how it's gonna be. And I thought that was good, but I was wrong. It's okay to change. If we talk about something now and you tell me something that's better, why shouldn't I implement that in my life? I don't know it all. That's why I'm here. That's why we have the podcast, right? To share and to learn. But I used to think that's a weakness, and if you say something, you got to do it. I think if you find something better, why not?
Right. So I guess it's kind of things on a spectrum where you have to look and see every time I'm committing to something, is there patterns here where I'll start it for a week and then give up and recognize those patterns, and maybe that's not working for me, versus on the other side, wow, I've been doing the same thing for 10 years and I'm still not where I want to be. So maybe I'm holding on to something too much, and where on that scale?
Where are you on that scale, and how should you course correct? There's a book called The Slight Edge. It's an amazing book, and it talks about things that are easy to do and easy not to do, and how they accumulate and make something either worse or better. For example, working out 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes. It's easy to do, it's easy not to do, right? So if you do that every day, you're probably going to be in okay shape. But if you don't do it every day, you're probably not going to be in that great shape. And it adds on, just like saving money, starting a business, having a relationship, like all those things adds up. It's easy to tell your partner, I love you. It's easy to don't say it, right? And do you think you're going to have a better relationship if you appreciate your partner once in a while? I believe so.
Let me switch topics a little bit, and we'll go over to rejection. So keeping, I guess, a positive mindset in the face of rejection, or how do you navigate those waters?
I think it's really hard, because we look at, like, I competed for many years, and I didn't like losing, because you put your heart and soul into something. Just like you as an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, right? And you don't like when you lose a deal or when you lose money. So it's quite interesting, because for me, you can see the real winners of life, how they act in failure. Because how do you carry yourself then? How do you talk to yourself when things are not going your way? Because let's face it, anybody can be a champion and have a positive mindset. It doesn't take anything, basically, because if you're a winner, if your life is fucking amazing, it's not that hard to have a positive mindset. But what we're really talking about having a positive mindset is how do you carry yourself when shit hits the fan, when life gives you lemons, right? Which we all get all the time. And for me, it's just about, like, this is a journey. I believe that things happen for a reason, and there's a lesson to be taught. So I try to take a step back and don't be so hard on myself. Instead, I try to look at it as I would if I would coach someone else. Okay, what went wrong and how can we move forward and be better? Because there's going to be a lot of wins in life, right? Hopefully, a lot of small wins. And in order to get to your goal or whatever you want to do, it's also going to be a lot of small losses, a lot of small failures. That's okay. Don't overjudge or over dramatize, because if we look at the pickup game, you know, for example, when in the days when we went out talking to girls and we saw those alpha males, they talked to a girl and the girl didn't like him and went to the next one and the next one without even thinking about it. And then we see guys that like maybe wait all night to just talk to one person. It doesn't go their way. Of course it doesn't, because you've been like sizing it up and making it such a big deal, and then it doesn't go your way, and then you go home and no, this doesn't work. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy. And we keep doing that. So don't take things so serious. You're going to fail a lot of times. It's nothing special, you know?
Yeah. So it's interesting, kind of rewinding back to some of what we just talked about in terms of making decisions. It just kind of dawned on me that recently I've come to a crossroads, a similar position where I had been working with a group of us on a particular project, and we had customers and we were inching this product along and growing it, but then we lost our customers and it just seemed like it was going nowhere. The technology wasn't working. And we had been working on it for so long at that point that it was hard to let it go. You have such an attachment to it. And the more time that we invested into it, the more I felt like I needed to see success from it. And that letting it go would admit failure. And admitting failure meant admitting that all that time, energy, money, you know, going out and promoting, all that stuff, you know, I'm going to use the word wasted. Although a life coach like yourself could say, like you just said, look for the lessons in it, which I have to do. Is very, very, very difficult to separate that. And I think continuing to hold on to it like it's your baby for so long because of that, your hopes for it. I had such great hopes for it. And then one of our mutual friends, who I'm not going to name, out of respect for his privacy in the professional life, also on the side builds projects. And he had recently told me he had spent a lot of time building something himself. And I had asked him, what's going on with that project you were building? And he said, I took it offline. And I couldn't believe it. You took it offline? But why not just leave it there? Maybe, you know, it doesn't really cost you anything to leave it there. And he said, no, I had to take it offline so I would stop thinking about it. I would stop stressing about it because it was just hanging around there. Even if I'm not working on it, it's a constant reminder to myself that it's a failure, and that failure continues to live there next to me. So when he told me he took it offline, and it was like taking, you know, weight off his shoulders. Hearing his story like that allowed me then to approach my current crossroad predicament or viewing, you know, okay, it's time to let this thing go. Finally, in new eyes, it's so refreshing to be able to approach that and say, you know what I'm giving myself, my future self, is not having to stress about this anymore. And to open myself and move on to CallCast, other apps, stuff like that, new opportunities. But allowing those things to linger around, that you're hoping for success out of those things, but it's just not working out.
We just recorded a podcast with Garen Jones, and he an amazing guy, and he just said that, like, there has to be a release. And I agree with that. Sometimes we gotta let things go.
Closure can be important.
And I mean, if you have a quote unquote failure, something doesn't go your way, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. In fact, it's good if you do it, because otherwise maybe you're not invested. But it's not about that you don't mourn. It's about how long do you mourn. If we look at people that move on, they cry, they scream, they do whatever, but tomorrow they're back to work, or a week. And then we have those people that 10 years after or saying entrepreneurship wasn't for me because I did one project, put all this money and time, and it didn't work out. Yeah, because you had the wrong strategy and you didn't come back and created a new chapter in your life. So that's my opinion. Mourn, be angry, be a bad loser, but don't be it for a long time.
Good. I like that. So talk to me a little bit about setting yourself up for a positive day. Like, how does a positive day happen? How do you structure that?
So I believe that the most important thing to go out and do what you want is energy. So if you look at yourself as a race car, you need fuel, you need fresh tires, you need that race car to be in good shape, right? You need the engine to be great, you need all of the mechanisms to be great. And if we look at the human body, what can make you a race car? So for me, it's a couple of things. I like, first of all, being well rested. Everybody's talking now about waking up at 5 a.m. or all of those things. It's great if you slept enough. And only you can answer what's enough. It ranges from 5 to 8, 9 hours, but find what makes you well rested and full of energy. And when you're well rested, what I personally do is that I work out. I start my day with a workout because it gives me energy. Working out gets my blood going, my sweat going, it gives me a lot of energy, it makes me hungry, and it gives me that drive to go out in the world. I finish my workout with a short meditation just to start visualizing what I want to do today, what's important to me. And then I do my gratitude practice, I read a little bit, I write down a couple of affirmations that I say and then write down. It's those kind of things that I do to have my day start positive. And I mean, this is no secret. Most of the successful people do some type of this routine where you wake up pretty early, so you go to bed pretty early, and then you take time for yourself, no cell phone, no answering calls, you work out, you meditate, you write, you read, and then you get going. It's like the book Slight Edge, easy to do, easy not to do. Like, all of this is out there, we don't have to invent it again, but the question is, it's the mindset that actually gonna answer, are you going to do it? And the only way that you're going to do it is that if you put risk on the table. So I know if you're too comfortable in everything in your life, you're not gonna do it. Why did I wake up early to work out when I wanted to be a champion? Because I wanted to be a champion. If I would have been a champion 5 times, maybe I wouldn't have done that. Because it's not that much at stake, you know. But when it's big risk, or when you take those risks, it's more intriguing for you to do those things.
Right. It's interesting. The analogy that you're using with the race car makes me think fast.
Yeah.
Is there any times where it's good to be slow in your approach?
Yeah, I think it's very important to be slow as well. And you have to find that balance. I believe it is very important to take time for deep thinking, for meditation, for being slow. And I'm not perfect and I'm still learning. In my life, a lot of times I go too fast without asking the right questions, and I make the wrong decisions, and I waste time because I'm going too fast. So that's a big problem for me. I'm good at going fast, but sometimes I don't take a step back. And I believe that for me, I need to learn how to take a step back. But for people that are always slow, they need to get in the race car mode and get shit done. So it's kind of, you got to ask yourself, where am I in my life? Am I finishing projects? Am I actually starting things? I decided to do a podcast and I didn't know shit. But I decided, and then I went fast. And here we are today, like almost 150 episodes later. So if I would not, I made a lot of mistakes, and I could have done it probably much better in many ways. But if I if I would say I'll start tomorrow, maybe
too slow.
Never happens. So
right. So I wonder if there's times to recognize where you need to be fast, so you get past the fear. So being fast allows you to remove the fear of, the what if this happens and it won't work out, right? If you're fast, you plow right through that and say, you know what, I don't care if the screen doesn't work, or if there's an embarrassment in my presentation or whatever. We'll deal with that when it comes. I want 2 microphones and a guest, and let's get going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, when you're talking, I'm just thinking about, like, a lot of times when I grew up, I always used to see this guys that I thought they weren't the brightest guys a lot of times, but they had the hottest girl. I was like, what's going on? And they didn't think so much. They just acted, If you want to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. If you want to start a business, start a business, and then figure it out.
Right.
So there has to be a mix. And I know in a business environment, you want both. You want the person that goes fast, and you want the person that can look back and say, hey, what are we doing here? In a relationship, you want that too. In a team, you want that too. So just know where you are and try to work on those things.
Do you use any physical tools or reminders to kind of, for different things in your life that remind you to remember to think about these things? Slow, fast, positive, negative, whatever. Start something new. Is there anything kind of physical or tangible that you bring to your life that serves as kind of like something that when you see it will, wait a minute, I got to think about this thing?
It's a good question. And it's in sports, we call it a trigger, right? Something that you carry with you to be able to perform. And I had that. I used to do like some things before I competed every match, just to say now it's go time, and it was a reminder.
So is that a ritual in sports? Would it be more like a?
Yeah, it could. It's kind of a ritual, but it could also be a trigger. And for example, I had a cross that I got from one of my best friends that I always brought with me to all the competitions, and it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because I'm leaning on this thing to help me do what I want to do. And if I don't have this thing, I can't do it, which is something I've told myself, and it's not true. For example, talking about mindset, I used to believe if someone said good luck, don't say thank you, because it means it's not going to go well. I lived with that mindset for years. And I remember at competitions, people said, good luck. And I said, thank you. And then fuck. I said, thank you. And now I'm going to lose.
Got in your head.
It got into my head because it was a limiting belief that I have told myself. And it's not true. Those things are not true. It's just something that you tell yourself.
Interesting. Yeah, the reason why I asked the piece about physical reminders, because when you brought that up, and also about, is there anything, the importance of slowness and stuff like that, because it made me smile, because when I was a kid, I remember going into my dad's office study, or my dad would be working late at night and, in there, and I'd go in and he'd have a table, and on the table would be little turtles. And he'd always have these little, those kind of like carved out of stone, really small, they can fit in your pocket. And I'd ask him, like, Dad, why turtles? Why do you have 3 or 4 turtles lined up? Why turtles? And he would say, the story of the turtle versus the rabbit, the hare. And you remember that kind of story of the rabbit wanting to run fast and then laughing at the turtle along the way. Like, you'll never win the race. But then the rabbit gets too cocky, lays down, takes a nap, and the turtle, little by little, just gets things done and crosses the finish line. And that was his reminder, even if things take a long time or whatever, there, be the turtle and just cross the finish line. And so seeing that he had that little reminder kind of made me happy, kind of thing.
No, that's a super cool thing, and I think if we look at guys like your dad who has accomplished a lot of things, a lot of times they are moving slow, but they are moving continuously, right? Mm-hmm. And they're moving with other people. Mm-hmm. So that's been, like, speaking of mindset, I used to tell myself also that I needed to do things my way, myself, in order for it to be good. And what actually happened was that I lost a lot because I should have brought more people in, done more things together, because that's when it's, first of all, it's more fun to work in a team. Second of all, you get much better results. And it doesn't mean that you can't have it your way. You just have to be able to balance that with other people. So yeah, I agree with that. And I need a person like your dad in my life. Maybe I should buy some turtles.
So that brings us into this kind of aspect of how do you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, how do you speak to yourself throughout the day as you are dealing with these moments of success, failure, positivity, negativity?
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting, the conversation with yourself. And I used to be very hard on myself. I used to talk down on myself, and I used to not believe in myself. But the more I learned from people that were successful was that you need to believe in yourself. You need to start being okay that you're not always gonna win, but you can do the work and be kind and keep going. And I see this, it makes me so sad. I see so many people, and a lot of them are already super successful, but they talk down on themselves. They're not, they do not feel worthy. And you can't be happy then. If you're constantly negative towards yourself, no matter how much success you achieve with other people's view, you can't be happy.
I would take that one step farther too, in terms of talking down to yourself or talking down to somebody else and spreading that, because it can become contagious too. And for me, even worse, talking negative about people that aren't even in the room with you. And what that does to kind of poison, relationships and in the air. It always makes me uncomfortable. I think for me, cultivating positive mindsets is to not get caught in any kind of gossipy, negative talk about other people also. Yourself included, but,
I totally agree with you. I'm so lucky because I've not been talking shit in years about other people. And as soon as you hear somebody else do that, I just walk away.
It's unhealthy. It gives me an uncomfortable feeling.
It's like, why do you even do that? If you this short amount of time we have on this world and you focus on talking about shit about other people, come on, lift people up, lift yourself up. I'm curious, how do you kind of do that with your self-talk? Like,
personally or
personally,
my own self-talk?
How do you work with that with yourself?
I think to me it goes back to awareness and just being very aware of, am I having a negative voice in my head? And if I am negative or questioning something, having kind of a mentor or somebody that you can say, hey, this has been bothering me, or this has been, I'm feeling uncomfortable or uneasy, and that awareness, being able to talk about it. Oh, why are you feeling that way? Why are you, and a lot of times for me, when that shows up, I don't get it throughout the day. Throughout the day, I'm focused on what I want to achieve, what I want to do. I'm excited about things, the opportunity. But where that negativity hits me the worst is at nighttime, when it's time for bed. And all of a sudden the world gets quiet. Everything, that day is now gone. And I'm like, where did that day go? I didn't get this done. I didn't get this done. Right? And so that's where I have to, I think, work on And then I'm not getting a good night's sleep because I'm spending, an extra hour just trying to fall asleep, going over these things and these loops in my head.
And we all do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, going back to, the race car and being the best car you can be, it goes into getting a good night's sleep. So how do you not have those, those little voices in your head of counting all the missed opportunities from the day or things you didn't achieve or.
I think like two things that I'm thinking about when you say this. And first of all, like you said, write those things down. I have an exercise that I use sometimes because before, not anymore, but before I used to think a lot of bad things like, what if I die today when I go out in traffic? What if something happens to the people I love? What if I get sick? What if someone steals my wallet? Like all these negative thoughts that are taken out of the blue. And I know a lot of people recognize that. But then there's some other voice too that's telling you all these positive and good things, that you can do things, that you are great, that just take that next step. So try to listen more to that voice. So we have those two voices, but write the negative stuff down and look at it on a paper. And a lot of times you will just laugh. Like, okay, yeah, I might die, but there's just something that I make up in my mind, which is probably not going to happen. Or let's say if I start this business, my whole life will be over. No, what's the worst thing that can happen? Not so much that you lose a little bit of money and learn something. So write those things down and then throw the paper away or cross the things off. And you will feel like that is almost leaving you. And again, you can't do it once and believe it to work. You have to keep doing these things.
So, one thing I'm wondering about right now, just a kind of side tangent of interest to me, because for those of us who are living out here in LA, there's the fear of the big one, right? And we just had last week that 7.3 earthquake. Did you feel it?
Yeah.
You felt it?
Yeah.
So then that rate, this is, how many years, 150 years overdue or something like that, right? So I never think about like that kind of scale catastrophe is like, I don't spend my days worrying about that. But then something like that shakes your world a little bit and it's in the media and everyone's talking about, oh, do you have survival kits? Do you have this? Do you have that? And, your loved ones then are getting scared. Like, well, what's our plan? What are we going to do? Right. And there's a really cool podcast out there called The Big One for anyone who wants to listen to, imagining what it would be like, playing through a scenario of what it would be like if you're in LA and the big one strikes, let's pretend we are transported into that world, right? So I guess what I'm wondering about, right, where do you see that, something like that, like this natural disaster and the media and all that pop up, like where do you see that in terms of your own mindset? Is it something to be really concerned about? Is it something you shouldn't really concern yourself with and just go back? Because for me, it was like high up on my concern scale for a day. And then a day later, I'm like, okay, I got stuff to do today.
Yeah. One thing that as a martial artist, one thing that I remind myself every day is that I'm going to die because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So it can also give me that, a business stops when it runs out of money, right?
Right.
And a life stops when you die. But dying is so hard to talk about because most of us fear it so much. But I do things better when I know it's going to end. Because if I had all the time in the world, why would I even bother? So for me, it's a reminder that life is short. Do things, be happy, and truly go after what you want and have those relationships and travel and do that business or whatever it is that you want. And I was eating pizza with some friends when this happened, and I was really scared, to be honest. But as you said, I forgot it after a day. And now when you mention it, it's like, what are you talking about? But in that moment, I just remember thinking like, wow, like life can end this fast. And today, maybe I did 2 things that I shouldn't have done, or maybe I should have done one more thing. So like, see it as a reminder that life is fragile.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's funny when you talk, it reminded me of, embarrassingly enough, I am the biggest coward when it comes to roller coasters. Like,
Oh, really?
Oh my God, terrified.
You're a surfer, man.
Roller coasters,
Wow.
no good. And actually, I had never really ridden on a roller coaster. And one of my good buddies, he was like, we're going to Six Flags. You're going to go on a roller coaster with me. Like, and he's like, I don't have anyone else to go with. It's only you and me. Please do this for me. The thing he said is, he's like, I need this. I need to go. So I felt this responsibility because he was telling me he needed it for his life because he works so much. He's so stressed in his job. He's like, I need it, Adam. You got to go with me. And so I was like, I don't want to do this, but I feel like I need to do something for him, but also maybe this is for me. So this was the other week. I guess the reason why I remembered it is because I texted him later when I was like, what happens if we were on the roller coaster and those earthquakes happened? But anyway, for me, I was so afraid to get on the roller coaster, but I'm like, I'm not going to be the little person to complain this time. Yeah. But I went with him once before and I didn't ride one roller coaster at Six Flags here. Yeah. He has a little kid and I just was like, I'll babysit your kid. Yeah. And he's like, oh, Adam's going to let me have so much fun. Every ride, I was like, I'll babysit your kid. But I got on it and you know what I did is I changed the way I thought about the roller coaster while I was on it. And I realized that I had a change of experience on it. I started pretending. You remember the movie Top Gun?
Yeah.
The fighter pilot? I was like, I'm going to pretend I'm Maverick in Top Gun right now. So as it's going up and I was in my little fighter pilot thing and I'd pretend like the course, as long as I could see the structure of the roller coaster, that I'm in this jet pilot thing. And after that, I had so much fun. So it's amazing how changing your mindset like that.
Yeah.
So simple, so small.
Wow. So let's just
But it was embarrassing.
Yeah, but no, that's amazing. But so you like roller coasters now?
No, I don't like roller coasters now, but I enjoyed that day.
Yeah.
Put it that way. And
Yeah.
I was able to find a way
Yeah.
to make it fun in that moment. But if you were to ask me, hey, do you want to go tomorrow to Six Flags?
Yeah.
I told him I'm not going to do this again.
Yeah.
Like I had enough. Like I don't like heights like that.
But you took that courage because someone else needed you in that moment and you did it, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad.
Looking back, probably it wasn't that bad. To me, it's still, I hate it, but somehow I made it fun through a little trickery of reimagining what the experience because I've always wanted to, after watching Top Gun as a kid, I always wanted to fly a fighter pilot. That looks super cool. So somehow, as we were going up, it just clicked. Like, what happens if I'm in a fighter pilot? So reframing your mind instead of a negative thing the whole time. Or the last time I went, I made it negative and I didn't even get on.
Yeah.
So I didn't even challenge myself. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
He gave me an out because he brought his little kid and his little kid was too small to get on it gave me an excuse to be like, I'll be your babysitter.
He gave you an out, and I love you saying that. And we always get the outs, right? If we're looking for them, but there's no growth there.
Right.
When we take those outs, there's no growth. But you did something that you were super scared of, and it made you grow in some sense, right?
I felt coming out of it, it was invigorating in terms of being like, wow, I faced a fear.
Yeah.
And every time you face a fear and come out, it reinvigorated me my next day of work. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself this day off. Yeah. But I attacked my work the next day with a new excitement because I was like, I can do, just like, it's weird. Like have you heard, maybe you even had mentioned it to me in the past, but it's like, make your bed first thing in the morning. Like it's like your first little thing of success. Yeah. For me, it's just like, I did something crazy and awesome and scary to myself. And just gives you that invigorating, like, what do they call those things that like start your heartbeat again?
Like a heart starter.
Yeah. Just like,
boom. Yeah. Like a reset. And I mean, I'm starting to learn that it's important to take risks. Of course, when you decide on doing something, don't look for all the outs. It's like I think The Rock said this in a speech. Like whatever happens, when I decide of doing something, there's no way back. It's like my back is against the wall. I don't even look back. Only forward, only forward. And once you start truly having that mindset, because it's one thing to say it and then as soon as it gets hard, you find it out. But once you truly decide, like, I'm going to take these risks and there's no way back, then you have to figure it out, right? Because it's important.
So let me switch it up kind of as we get to the tail end of some of these questions, burning questions. A couple things, directions we could go here. It's up to you. One of the things is, how do people's complaints affect you? I'm also want to link into that thought of other people's complaints affecting you. I've listened to a lot of interesting podcasters talk about how our culture right now is so charged up with people trying to come after, like they can take any small thing you say and then try and demonize you for it or come after you, and especially as you do things like this podcast. Like anything you say can get turned into a soundbite, and then somebody, well, Peter said this, so therefore he's this kind of person, and judge you or come after you. Like how do you balance having a voice and really wanting to get out in the world and get your message out and talk, with also then knowing that probably the higher you rise up, the more people there will be inspecting every little thing you say and trying to judge your character kind of off those things, when maybe it's not even what you meant, in terms of they're reading it one way, but you meant it a different way.
I mean, listen, that's going to happen all the time. I'm just thinking about this now. We've had a lot of issues with the technology during this podcast. I'm super tired. It's Friday night. It's been a so long week, and a lot of things. I've not been as sharp as I would like to be, and it's part of life. It's part of showing up. You can't be perfect all the time, but we're still gonna do this. We're still gonna put this out there because this is a timestamp of today, in this moment, what we could do. And that's fine. We don't look to be perfect because perfect is boring. It's okay to be human. And a lot of times, when you're not perfect, people can relate more to that. And I think it's a lot about the mindset. Do you let other people's voice change who you are? No, everybody has the right to their opinion. And don't let people have a voice, put you down. It's okay. If you want to think that something is not good, it's completely fine. But it's not easy to do that. I think it's just practice and just realizing that, if I'm putting you down, it's something with myself in that moment, because you will never meet a person that are in their best spirits, their life is going awesome, that's going to put you down. No, it doesn't exist. People that put other people down, they're going through things, and it's not okay, it's still not okay, but you can think for yourself, okay, why? Wow, I hope this person can solve his own issues,
What's the difference between get to and go to?
Get to and got to?
Get to and got to.
Yeah, so I just want to this was the last question, right?
The last question.
Yeah,
what's the difference between get to and got to?
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of end with that, get to and got to, because a lot of us, we keep telling ourselves, I gotta do this, I gotta be here, I gotta go to this job. No, stop. Just think about your life for a moment and realize you can create the life you want, even if you have kids, even if you're not rich, even if you're not living in the best place in the world. But you have to reframe your mindset and decide, what do I want to do? And then start telling yourself, I get to do this. Not I got to do this. Like, I got to do this podcast with Adam tonight. No, I get to do it. This is actually fun. We're super tired, right? But it's actually fun. And if it could help a couple of people, I think it's worth it, you know? So start reframing. Instead of, I got to do this, I get to do it. And even if it's something boring, let's say you have an tobacco shop and you have to stack magazines or like cigarettes. Yeah, that's something you got to. No, it's something you get to do in order to have revenue in your business, right? You get to send like a piece in if you're a writer and get rejected hundreds of times because it's all small steps in the direction you want to go.
Goes back to the bigger picture that you were talking about, of seeing the bigger picture and how this is a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
That's a necessary puzzle piece. Without it, you know, you wouldn't be able to get the masterpiece.
Yeah, always visualize where you want to go, but enjoy what you're doing right now as well. So, because it's not going to change. I know, like, it's fun to become a world medalist. It's fun to do amazing things, but it doesn't change your life. It's the day-to-day activities that change your life. How do you treat yourself and how do you treat others? That's what's changing your life. The results is just an effect of that.
Love it. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
What else do you want to leave people with in terms of thinking about, you know, cultivating this mindset of positivity and a good kind of healthy mindset?
Yeah, I mean, before we end, I just want to say thank you to you because taking the time to do this on a Friday night means the world to me. And the reason I chose you is that you are great at this, and I love having these conversations, and I hope we're going to see your own podcast very soon because I think you can do so many great things when it comes to this forum. And to everybody that's been watching and listening to this, I just want to kind of end with, your mind is everything you got. You know, that's everything you have. So please put some time to work on it, to be loving to yourself and make those small steps. It's not going to change overnight. It's going to take time because maybe you have been telling yourself all these negative thoughts. But start with one positive thing, replace it, and listen to your inner voice. And I just want to say thank you. We love you. And if you like what we do here at I Love Success, visit our website, ilovesuccess.co. Sign up so you can get more amazing conversations. And please share this conversation with someone that you think need a better mindset, because mindset matters. Thank you and have a good day.